here at Barber Motorsports Park. Let's take a look at your driver grid for round number 4. As Bobby Zelensky starts off in the pole, he was the only driver in qualifying to set a 122 lap time, a 122.707 with Sven Kammert's on the outside. He recorded a time just a half a second faster in practice. Those are the only 2 drivers that have set the fastest times below the 123 mark. Dallas Pataska stayed in the 123s in qualifying, and will start third with Eric Boix rounding out the top 4. In 5th spot today is Aaron Smith, trying to rebound after a very rough last round at Sebring, with James King starting to his outside. That time is 2 seconds off the pole. Chris Purnell will start off 7th with Michael Skorlock in the 93 truck in P number 8. Paul Sylvanek starts off in 9th with Justin Levine inside the top 10 in his debut. Roger Gregory is in the 127-minute bracket as he'll start off in 11th with Stephen Dager Jr. rounding out the baker's dozen. Jay Steffi starts off in 13th, setting a 128.872 for his first race of the season, with Josh Mertz in the 14th spot, the last driver to record a time. 3 drivers did not set times in qualifying. David Williams for VRS Goanna Simsport, Clifton Cockrell, and Connor Horn round up the 17 drivers set to take the grid today here at Barber Motorsports Park and try and see who can come out on top. Again, today's distance, 27 laps, pit window, 9 to 18. You must take a tire pit stop. You don't have to take fuel, as this is a super sprint round for the season. And some of the other rounds, such as the next one we'll get to at the end of the broadcast, you will. But the drivers today, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this racetrack now that the practices are done, and now there's a lot more on the line, just trying to figure out the racetrack.
Yeah, that's it. They're out on their pace lap now, getting set for the start of this one, and it's all about preparing your truck and making sure that you get heat, not too much heat into the tyres and the brakes, but because you want to be able to get onto the brakes hard going into turn number 1.
Indeed, a couple different things I want to mention before we start off. If you want to keep up with the timing and scoring today, be sure to go to RaceSpot.tv/timing to keep up with where your favorite driver is once the green flag flies here for round number 4. As well, you might have noticed there's a brand new graphics package you're seeing for one of the first times in all of 2019. Designed by N-Word Design, something that's been in works for a long while by Andy Werner. A really impressive graphics package to say the least, making its VRS SuperTrucks debut today. Paul. Great conversation. Thank you very much, Paul, on that great point. But either way, it's been an interesting run so far. On top of that, let's talk about the drivers you may be able to watch on board today. You can keep up with James King, David Williams, and Josh Mertz on board throughout today's race. For more information, including where to find those links, be sure to go to Sox Out Racing's Facebook page at facebook.com/Sox Out Racing. And as the drivers make their way now through 11 and 12, and towards the final little bend of the racetrack, drivers get ready to take the green flag. Bobby Zelensky will start on the left side of the racetrack. Sven Kammert's on the outside, as they're going to see who will come away as the victor today. Barber Motorsports Park makes its series debut on the Sox Out Racing V8 SuperTrucks Championship. Green flag waiting towards the flag stand. As it's up in the air, we're underway for round number 4 of the 2019 season.
Oh, contact already into turn 1. Big drama. And we're going to see the first caution of the season. But Bobby Zelensky, your pole sitter, is down to the back, and we've got a caution straight away.
Oh, my word. I don't think that we've seen that coming. Kammert sent that thing off like a rocket ship into the corner. Let's take a look at your RaceSpotTV replay from the back bumper. Zelensky, and see how hard that was not Kammert's, that was Pataska, who just charged in the corner.
Yeah, got into that rear corner. Truck goes back on. Oh, and then he gets collected a couple of times. We'll have another look at that one here on screen and have a look from our aerial coverage brought to you by Anwer Designs. And it's down into turn 1. You see Pataska making that move down the inside and unfortunately getting into Bobby Zelensky. There was another truck involved in that one as well. What we'll do is we'll finally take a look from Dallas's perspective here in this one. We're on board with him and he can see that gap there. He's going for it, but that gap's always going to close into turn number 1.
Especially on lap number 1, off the start of a race. I don't know what else to really say there. Pataska loses a bunch of spots because of that contact. And Jay Steffi's truck is completely demolished as you see them all stole down for the caution flag. The first yellow of the entire 2019 season, mind you, comes on that. Everyone lines up behind the pace car. Drivers can pit for damage. They can't pit for tires, however. We'll see how the drivers take this. We're coming to lap number 2 of 27. We'll be back after this short break. You're watching the V8 SuperTrucks Championship on RaceSpotTV. Welcome back, everyone, to RaceSpotTV's coverage of the V8 SuperTrucks World Championship. Ben Camberts takes the green flag as we're back underway with racing after our first yellow of the season. Lap 4 of 27, and Camberts starts off the second restart at Barber off the grass, able to keep it on the track, though, as this time we get through the first corner clean here, Paul.
Yep, we certainly do, and it's good to see that. And Sven, he's got to make the most of this opportunity now and try and make his way through. We've got some battling further down. That's Michael Skurlock and Paul Slavinik battling away, and Jonathan Levine as well, as we've got a truck. Oh, what was that? That was Roger Gregory off the road.
Yeah, that truck, he tried to take a diamond off the corner exit, as you'll see on the RaceSpotTV replay, and just lost the back end of the tires. Drops back to 16th position after it hooks left into the grass. Did keep it off the wall, though. As we stay green with the action, lots of drivers with differing various paces here with his first round of the season at this racetrack.
Leader went off. That was really close.
Yeah, you're seeing that up in the front as it looks like Blixt is diving to the inside, just can't get to the quarter panel of Camberts. And that time it could have been very close. You've seen how hard that is a right-hand turn through turn 16 towards the last leg of the racetrack that he nearly went into the right rear quarter panel of as we complete our first lap under green of here at Barber in the series' history.
Yeah, absolutely. David Williams is making some moves, or at least trying to make some moves through your field here. And he'll be one person will be, oh, look at him getting all sideways. He's going to be one that will be pushing for a potential hard charger award.
Great time to bring this up because his teammate Bobby Zelensky just went 3 wide and made a pass on 2 trucks in the backdrop. He is one of the drivers that were involved in the incident, went all the way back to 17th after taking damage, but look how bold this pass was. Of course, with the hard charger, it is this season drivers that have to make the biggest recovery drives in some cases. Zelensky showing a great case, +6 in about a lap and a half because of that move.
Yeah, great move there from Bobby. Really good to see him operating to do that. And he really is trying to make a recovery drive here. Obviously, he qualified on pole position, and he'll obviously be wanting to have a bit of a better run of it, as there was a truck running wide. That was Stephen Dager Jr. running wide towards the end of the lap there.
And Dager Jr.'s also got some back-end damage. A lot of trucks struggling towards the back half of the field. Remember, there was a gigantic difference in lap times here, as this is the first time the series came here, but so far, it's been one driver that was dominant in practice, pulling away in Camberts, but one man that's been keeping up with him. Eric Blixt is still in the second spot. He was 4th quickest in practice, and as well as qualifying, and is able to keep up, it looks like, on at least at the short run so far, compared to some of the drivers behind.
Yeah, as we look back and look at this, David Williams is trying to get involved with Paul Slavinik. Dallas Pataska, the man who caused that incident, into turn number 1. He is now past Paul there, up into 6th place. So we're seeing drivers really pushing hard in the early stages here. Of course, there is a mandatory tyre stop for these drivers to take, and really if they're taking all the energy out of these Goodyear tyres at this earlier stage, we could be seeing some early pit stops in the pit stop window. Williams down the inside into 7th.
And Williams able to get the pass done. Slavinik tries to come back but has to hit the brakes up the hill. And you can see with some of these big elevation changes and bank corners, it's really causing some havoc for some of these drivers across the racetrack at the moment. So much slipping and sliding so many times that drivers have already gone off in the grass because there's so much runoff areas here.
Yeah, that's it. They don't want to be pushing out too wide. I mean, they're lucky that the exit of turn 1 is paved. Just look at this. Zelensky trying around the outside of Slavinik. He's going to try and get them the power earlier, though, on the exit of 3 through 4. This uphill right-hander. The truck goes light over that rise and then into the braking zone for turn number 5. He's got the inside line. Paul Slavinik giving the space here, but he's going to be able to get on the power earlier, taking that wider line through the hairpin.
Zelensky backs off for the time being on Slavinik. We'll see if he does indeed take advantage of one of the hairpins coming up to a hard braking zone as he diamonds off the corner, gets to the bottom, just can't get the pass done yet. So for Zelensky, keep in mind, he was, of course, the pole sitter before that contact before, and now he wants to try and get by 8th. He still can't get by. Had to get on the brakes as Slavinik had to check up the hills.
Yeah, it's really tricky as this, and it is. If you know how to position your truck on that track, you can really hold people back, and that's exactly what's happened to Bobby Zelensky. Your leader's pulled out about a second at the front, so we don't need to concern ourselves too much about him, but we're going to just draw our attention a little bit further forward because Chris Purnell, Dallas Pataska and David Williams, Bobby Zelensky's teammate, are right there in a battle.
Chris Purnell half a second slower than the man behind him in Pataska about 8 near full seconds slower than David Williams as the BOS Coanda truck tries to dive to the inside of Pataska along the concrete rumble strips, able to get side by side as they try and go for a drag strip down the straightaway behind them. It looks like Zelensky's finally been able to get side by side with Slavinik as he'll try and force it down into the tight corners, both of these trucks. Zelensky in the grass even can't get the pass to work.
Yeah, and he's going to get a slowdown penalty for that as well, for cutting across the curb, so not ideal from Bobby. Oh, David Williams got a big slide. Oh, Purnell's off onto the grass as well. That lets Pataska through. Will Williams be able to take the position? We're on board. Down the outside into the inside of that chicane, and through goes Williams. So Purnell was just 2 positions there with 1 little mistake.
And now Purnell's got to worry too, because he's got a hard-charging Zelensky right behind him as well, who is going to be looking to try and pass him in quick. Pit window is open this time by. It'll be open until lap 18. We have had 1 truck officially put their truck in the pit lane, though. Looks like Roger Gregory has put himself onto the tow truck. He's the only driver that is off the track at the moment. All 16 other trucks continue to run about 30 seconds back from 1st to 16.
Yeah, it's quite a compressed field here at the moment, and these trucks, I mean, you look at it, 1st to 14th is covered by 22 seconds. That's nothing really in the great scheme of things. So yeah, definitely these drivers are pushing hard and trying to make things happen in the early stages here. But this is where you start thinking about strategy, and you start wondering what people will do to be able to make the most of when to take these tyre stops, when they're going to get the best out of it. Generally, you try and take it near the halfway mark, or maybe a few laps past the halfway mark, just so that you've got fresher tyres towards the end of the race.
We'll see if any drivers come down this time. The pit lane is right towards the backdrop you've seen there at the top corner. Aaron Smith amongst the drivers, of course, staying out. No one ducking down, it appears, this time by. But let's talk about that 70 truck for a moment, because Smith Esports' Aaron Smith II really struggled at Sebring. Had a time penalty right from the get-go off the green flag, then ended up finishing off as a DNF in that round in the 70 truck. This one, it looks like he's much better holding on to a top 5 position at the moment, Aaron is.
Yeah, and he's doing a really good job challenging. Oh, we've had a big bit of drama further back. It's Jay Steffi and Josh Mertz. We'll try and have a look back to see what's happened here. Well, Josh Mertz has gone off on his own. I believe it's on his own. We'll look back here. We'll try and find what's happened here. So it's through the chicane, and Mertz is going slowly through there. And I think it's good to be on this next chicane where Josh loses it. Yeah, he's just not able to turn that truck off into the grass there. So he did that all on his own. Meanwhile, at the same time, Jay Steffi had their own little error down at the penultimate corner.
So two trucks have synchronized spins at different parts of the racetrack, basically. As we go back to live action, back to where Aaron Smith is. And it looks like, one, he's going to have to deal with Pataska from behind, but two, he's getting faster and faster than James Kane in that independent truck, in that privateer truck, rather.
Yeah, you look at those lap times, Smith is faster, but look who's lurking behind. Dallas Pataska, he is meaning business. He's on that recovery drive, as we mentioned. And he is looking mean and he's looking keen to try and get that position into the hairpin on the brakes. A little wiggle from Smith. And Pataska is down the inside. And he's going to hold that position, is he? Because Smith is trying to get him on the power.
Pataska, though, a bit better on the power, though, able to get the spot. But look who's behind them. Not just Williams, but Bobby Zelensky have both caught up towards them. Zelensky really charged in that time, as Pataska might have to deal with similar comparison speeds now, trucks to him. The fastest trucks that time by outside of Camert and Blixt were the VRS trucks.
Did you see the sideways moment for Smith there through the first chicane? And that's Williams past Smith now. So these VRS Quanta Sim Sport trucks, they're moving through the field here. They're wanting to get as many positions as they can get. And speaking of positions, you can see it, the positions gained here on the left-hand side. 9 positions gained from his qualifying position for David Williams. So he is on a charge. It'll be how he compares to his teammate Bobby Zelensky after he fell down through the field.
And remember, the winner of the Hard Charger Award will win $5 in iRacing credits. In the event that 2 drivers tie for gained positions over the course of the race, including said recovery drive situations, then both will be awarded the same prize. That is something to keep in mind. Side by side up in front of Williams, though. Pataska gets side by side with James Kane for 3rd position. As you see, Pataska late break his way on the outside line. Nearly cuts in the grass, but able to get the position. And that might potentially open up the door for Williams as Kane slides up the racetrack.
Yeah, that was... you felt it was maybe a matter of time, and King will be looking in his mirrors rather than looking in front at Williams. Williams has been making the moves and big contact. Oh, we don't like to see that. And King is right in the middle of the track, and the caution flag is out.
Right at the center of the pit window, too. Caution is out after the contact between Kane and Williams, and James King still had problems on that one. You can tell Williams wanted to try and make the pass, and oh my! That made it worse. That made it 100% worse. That was Connor Horn in one of the Go Team Racing trucks. Wow. Oh my word, again, that was in the middle of the racetrack. Let's see what first caused this, as King sat in the middle of the racetrack for 20, 30 seconds waiting for a clearing.
Yeah, I mean, you commend it because he has held his brake. He's waited for people to go around, and he must have thought that he had a gap a window of opportunity to get that truck moving. And unfortunately for Connor Horn, hopefully we can see him, he's coming round and thinking, oh, we'll go that way, and he's just gone the direction that that he's travelling in. We'll try and look at this from on board here, and looking at this then from Connor Horn. So he's just going to come round. It's quite blind here. We've got a better view, and he's thinking, right, I'll go left, just as King is pulling away.
So King and Horn both with blown engines, and the caution is out for the second time this entire season. Both of them, of course, here, but that also means the pit window, with it being open, means we'll see everyone likely come down for tires and put even more pressure because they're all going to be bunched up here.
Well, this is it. You've got to look at it and say, you've got to take your pit stop in this caution. Nobody had made their pit stops by this point in the race. So it's an opportunity to basically get a free pit stop. And really, if in my opinion, is here we go, your race leader's coming on. If you stay out there, then you're denying yourself an opportunity of a free pit stop. But you are then going to be out on the track and out front. But look at the queue of traffic coming down onto pit road. It's a pit party.
Every single truck that is still running down to the pit lane, and we'll see which ones are able to have the best stops here. As Cammerts hits his marks, the rest of the drivers hit their marks. The VRS trucks nearly run over each other, and I think David Williams might have missed his pit stall because he's still going.
Yeah. Yes, he's gone from pit road as David Williams. He's missed his pit stall, and away we go. Sven Kammert's there out of pit road, and the rest of them all coming down. Bobby Zelensky, he has come up behind Aaron Smith the second. So interested to see how it all pans out after those pit stops. But David Williams will be absolutely beside himself with missing his pit stall here, and that really has thrown any opportunity of a decent result here, because he needs to make his pit stop. He needs to stay out as long as he can now to try and gap out over people further down the field, so that he has an opportunity of making that pit stop and losing as little places as possible. But everyone behind is on fresh tyres. That's going to be tough.
This might not be good here, because not only that, the pace lights are off, meaning he can't just duck down this time by and hope he can get back into position. No, he might have lost a lot of potential points here because of that. Josh Mertz did get some damage repaired with all of that. Cammerts is in the second spot after the pit cycle. Net P1 potentially here with Eric Blixt in second. Then behind that is where things get a little interesting. Pataska, Aaron Smith, Zelensky, Parnell, Slavinik, Skurlock, and Cockrell round out the top 10 on the racetrack as they line up single file. As we look at the top 8 down on the bottom side of your screen, some of them have been... And here we go. Keep an eye on the drivers here. Williams ducks down for the required pit stop with the pace car. Cammerts heads towards the flag stand. Green flag waves, off and away. Him and Blixt are off by a country mile as Blixt tries to go to the inside. Tries to make the hard charge for the race lead as he can't get the job done. Better corner exit from Cammerts as they headed in 2 and 3.
Yeah, but look at that wider line that Blixt can take through mid-corner as we've got side by side.
Oh, trouble in the back. Stephen Dager Jr. spun out as that's all been going on. He's pulled off the racetrack. We stay green as we continue to roll on. Let's quickly look at that. As he was the last driver on the racetrack on his own at the time, just about, and ended up spinning the truck on his own.
Yeah, that's down at turn 1. It's so easy to make that mistake as well. But we'll go back to the front then, as the leaders are all together, and Sven Kammerts is coming under intense pressure, but Blixt has got pressure of his own from behind.
Yes, indeed he does, from Pataska, one of the faster trucks today, but also pressure from Zelensky. He's already by Aaron Smith II, and the man that won the 2017 Series Championship, trying to dive his way into a podium spot, doesn't make the move quite yet as they go up the hills, headed towards 14, 15, and 16. So the top 4 slowly trying to pull away, and things going to get interesting. By the way, Williams already back out on the racetrack, way behind, 41 plus seconds behind as Pataska lets him go. And I think that's involving that lap 1 incident. There was a note over race control that mentioned there was a possible penalty with that first lap contact.
I tell you what, if he's given that position now, he may have waited a little bit too long. It depends how the race stewards afterwards, when the race review happens, it depends what their opinion is as to whether he's left that a little bit too late or whether he should have allowed Bobby to catch up and lose positions himself to regain that position.
But on top of that, that's also possible race courtesy. I really messed up your day earlier. Why should I fight you again and possibly do even something stupid again?
Well,
I
mean, these drivers, it's a really good community of drivers that you have here in this series, and they do respect each other. So there is potentially that there as Bobby Zelensky running wide through that first chicane down the back section. And he's really pushing here because he can see Sven just pulling away from the front. Look at that sideways.
And a few different trucks trying to hold on to it there as they head down towards the front stretch. We're approaching 11 laps to go this time by. That's how quick this race has flown by. As Blix tries to hold on to second, he's been running up there all day since that lap 1 incident, and has been running a little bit off the pace of Cameras. However, Zelensky, he's been matching the same pace from Blix every single lap since that incident on the first lap.
Yeah, we'll see the times here, and we can pretty much ignore lap 14 because that was under the pace car, but lap 15 and 16, look at that time difference from between Bobby Zelensky and Eric Blixt. And yeah, there's a lot of movement there behind the wheel, isn't there?
Yes, there is there. Blixt doing a little bit of a sidestep that time, as he's still able to hold on for now. But Zelensky, one of the things he's been really doing today is charging a little bit towards the tight braking zone in 8 and 9, then trying to diamond off the corner and set up for the draft, and as well the run up the hill, heading out through 10 and 11 and towards 12 and 13 to set himself up for a pass. This time, he does check up a slight touch. He also has Dallas Pataska still behind him as well, keeping up in terms of pace around the same times. Last time by 3:10 difference. Zelensky faster.
Yeah, so Zelensky, he's pushing on. He's wanting to get by here. It's not happening at the moment in time. So these drivers, they're really pushing hard. They're wanting to get the best result they can get here in this race. But right now, I just feel that Sven Kemert is pulling away from this battle here, and Eric is almost the cork in the bottle. But to be fair to Eric, he's only a tenth and a half off of Sven's last lap, so he's no slouch either.
Definitely not a slouch. Last time by Cameras, a 123.811. That is even with the hotter racetrack at the moment. That was his fastest lap time of the day. 10 laps to go for round number 4 of the V8 SuperTrucks World Championship. As you follow on board with Blix's back bumper, you see again how much Pataska charges into the hard-braking 8 and 9 compared to Blix, and where he gains a lot of his time. He loses some of it on the corner exit, but not as much as Blix loses from the truck in front when he comes out of that same part.
Yeah, so going down into the chicanes, and look how much curb that Bobby takes on the first part of that chicane, but then stays off of the curb in the second part of that chicane. So interesting, the different lines that we see between these trucks. Zelensky, he's close, but he's not quite close enough to make a move happen at this time.
Not yet. He might. Do you think maybe he'll need a mistake or something along those lines? Despite being just 3/10 separated, does he just need to pressurize him until the right possible time? Because the more they do that, the more he waits behind and tries to be where he's at right now, the more he could potentially lose time to Cameras, who is still 1.6 seconds in front.
Yeah, it's tricky. Blitz there, taking a little bit of defensive line. Slides a little mid-corner, does Eric, so he is still pushing. but I do believe that Bobby now, he needs to make this move sooner rather than later, because he can become stuck behind the car in front. When you follow a truck for lap after lap after lap, you start braking at the same points they do. You start taking the same corner lines as they do, and you lose that advantage that you had over them earlier on. Whereas if you make the move and make a decisive move early, you get past them, and then you're able to just keep in your rhythm. But at the moment, Bobby just looks like he's maybe not quite in his rhythm, because he's held up behind that truck of Eric Blix. But it's great driving, great defensive driving, it must be said, by Eric. He's just putting this truck exactly where it needs to go.
Remember, he is getting spotting help today from Martin Capal, who was suspended for this round after not serving his penalty at Sebring. So it helps you out a little bit to have that spotter rather than a virtual spotter that just tells you where a truck is or a car is or anything like that when they're next to you. It helps out when you have someone to be your eyes and ears, essentially, to see what the driver behind you is doing, especially when you see how aggressive Zelensky is diving it in some of these corners, as you see from the front bumper.
Yeah, he certainly do. But look at the run that Blitz gets out of the corners as well. So he's doing his own thing, is Eric, and he's doing it very well here in this race. So the further up the field you get, the more difficult it gets to overtake him. This is a prime example of catching is one thing, passing is quite another.
And as Zelensky still tries to pressurize the back of Blixt, couple drivers to note right now. Aaron Smith, remember him, he was up in the top 5 at some points. He's fallen off the pace to the 125s, in part with tire wear, in part because he's not been able to keep up with the pace of these three. Zelensky, he's trying a different line this time, meanwhile, as he tries to diamond off both the last couple corners and down the front straightaway. Doesn't work this time to get the pass done. So I think Zelensky's now to the point where he's trying different lines to see if that will work rather than follow the same tire track as Blixt a little bit.
He's going for the outside of turns 2 and 3 here. So he can get on the power earlier, taking that wider line through 2 and 3. Through 4, they go over the crest. And here we go. It's on the brakes, and Zelensky should have this.
And Zelensky makes contact with Blixt. Holds on to it as Pataska dives to the inside. As Blixt drops down to 4th, Pataska moves to the top 3, and Zelensky moves up to 2nd. So Blixt that time came down on the quarter panel of Zelensky, but this time does not cause a spin.
That was outbraking himself. We'll have a look back at this one then from Eric Blixt. And you'll see Bobby Zelensky just gets on the brakes, can't stop that truck, and just ends up going into the side of him. Nothing malicious in that, but it's unfortunate because Eric Blixt loses 2 positions in that one move.
And not only that, I want you to take a look at after this as well. He went off in the grass as well a couple different times, and you have to wonder if he's now broken out of his rhythm, or that damage that he got in the left front of the truck might be possibly affecting the steering a little bit as they go around the lap traffic.
Yeah, potentially. Might have slight bit of his steering knocked. Difficult to tell. But he certainly has dropped back a second now off of the 2 drivers in front. And we've got a ding-dong battle here now. They've dropped back 3 seconds from the race leader. But here comes Pataska. He's wanted to make a move and make it soon.
Yes, indeed. Remember, Pataska let Zelensky on by after what happened on the first lap. That let on by was just a couple minutes ago. They're trying to reel in Sven Kammers. While as that battle was going on, set some of his faster lap times and is pulled away to a 3-second lead. The question is, can they reach him in time? As you look on board the Radicals Online JRT machine of Dallas Pataska, who was the most dominant rookie in the first couple rounds, and it's looking to break back into the winner's circle today.
It's going to be a tall order to win in this one. Bobby Zelensky was faster in qualifying by a decent margin over Dallas Pataska, but with his teammate, with Sven Kammert so far down the road, it's going to be a very, very tough task to do. And one thing I do want to look at is look back at this battle. Clifton Cockrell and Jonathan Levine, this is over 9th and 10th place. These two are pretty close together at the moment, and it's great to see the RSR Esports white driver involved in this battle with Clifton.
Yes, indeed, in his first ever race in the series, his teammate has not had a good day in 12th position, on the verge of being lapped. But as you can see, Levine has fallen off in terms of the pace to Cockrell. However, he's been very respectable today. He's kept the truck clean for the most part. He's been able to keep around where he started off and not make any major mistakes today in his first race in the series. And he's on the verge of trying to make the pass work on the West Houston Muscle Chevrolet in front.
Yeah, he is keeping the pressure on. He's just dropped back a little bit on this lap. But that, I tell you what, in front of them, Michael Skurlock, he did have a little mistake going through turn 1. That slowed him down. He's also had to get past some lap traffic. And now Clifton Cockrell getting caught up behind that traffic. That is going to help Jonathan as they come through turn 8.
And you see the traffic going around. Also, traffic spinning around. That's Jay Steffi, the RSR Esports white, number 49 rather, has spun on and stayed off the racetrack in the sand trap. So his day has gone from bad to worse to nightmarish.
Yes, he's had trouble with that corner, that penultimate corner previously, and he's staying out the way. There's going to be no caution forthcoming. So he's being smart, waiting for a gap in the traffic, and then setting off.
Yes, race control is currently helping him get back on the racetrack and telling him when to go and when it is safe, especially after what happened with the second caution of the day. But also look what's going on up towards the front with the trucks we're back to. But while Zelensky and Pataska are still nose to tail, they are slowly closing in on cameras. They closed it down at 2.6 seconds at the stripe last time by, with 3.5 laps to go.
Yeah, look at that slide for Bobby Zelensky. That was a big moment for him. This is an opportunity for Dallas to take, but he's not taken it as of yet, so he's holding back for the time being. But things are about to pick up now, because these trucks, I don't think they wanted to pit so early. With the conditions being as they are, I mean, looking at the AccuForce minute, the AccuForce, oh my goodness, you're going to have to help.
AccuWeather cast.
Yeah, minute cast. Oh my goodness, I do apologise. Looking at that, track temperature is 85 degrees Fahrenheit, so it hasn't really changed that much. These drivers would have maybe wanted to have gone a few laps longer before their pit stop. And maybe they're starting to feel the effect of that tyre weather. Oh my goodness, I'm tired. It's been a long day today.
Under 3 laps to go, Paul. Paul, we understand what you're saying. At least you didn't say you had horseshoes, and I forget even what the phrasing was from David Schillhaus from some of the RFL broadcasts. But to focus on this race, before things go haywire, Cameras, because of what we've seen to Zelensky, has been able to stretch another gap up by 0.7 because of that tire wear issue, and how much the hot weather seems to be causing the tires to balloon themselves up like a cloud.
It's catching, isn't it? But yes, but I tell you what, Kamats has been able to just control the lead out at the front there. He's not pushing too hard, and I think he's done the right thing here in today's race. But Bobby Zelensky and Dallas Pataska, they've been having to push and push hard, and have maybe taken the life out of the tyres here. So these two, it's going to be interesting to see how they get on and fight in these final few laps, because across the stripe we'll be going 2 laps to go here.
2 laps to go, and again, that time by Zelensky actually quicker. However, he's going to need a miracle mistake from Sven Kammers to be able to catch up. Still 3 seconds the gap as we stick with this battle. A few other drivers had notable performances. David Williams recovered to 11th spot. Connor Horn has been in and out of the pits to gain spots up to 14th and taking advantage of the DNFs today. But for some of these drivers, it has been days where they wish they didn't have the mistakes they had. They wish they didn't have the contact they had in the early portions of the day, or else some of them might feel they might have had a chance at a podium or a victory today.
Yeah, there'll be a few drivers ruining this race here today. It is a tricky course, and we have seen the first two cautions of the season here, so it just shows how tight and twisty this track is. But it's a real challenge, and it's a challenge that these drivers absolutely love. And we're going to be starting the final lap in just a moment or so time.
Indeed they are, as you look on board as they try and go to the final couple corners of the track, as Cammers takes the white flag this time by for round number 4, the V8 SuperTrucks World Championship. Cammers won last round at Sebring. He'll try and win it again, while Pataska tries to make it a 1-2 for Radicals Online's corporate team as he tries to make the move on Zelensky. They've been nose to tail since that pass at the halfway point after the pit cycle. This time, Zelensky much better exit than Pataska.
Certainly was able to hold it. That's the favourite spot to overtake around here in the hairpin there. Zelensky, though, a bit sketchy on the corner exit, and that's allowing Pataska to come alongside here.
Zelensky tries to squeeze him off the racetrack as Pataska early breaks. And that might have been what could secure Pataska a third place and Zelensky a second. He tries to say otherwise as he tries to get the run down the long straight once more through 10 and 11. Nearly hits the back bumper as he backs off. Has to get out of the gas. And now Zelensky pulls away for the second spot. But up in front of the field, the man of the number 66 for Radicals Online, Sven Cammers. He won at Sebring in the first sprint race. And today, he'll get career win number 3 in his series' career and take the checker flag and win round number 4 at Barber Motorsports Park in the V8 SuperTrucks World Championship.